Welcome back to Prairie Wings. I'm Merle Mayer. Have you ever wondered, well, I have nice paint on my car. What am I going to protect that with when I'm working on my car? Well, over the years, I've been an automotive service technician for a long time. I've used a bunch of different covers. And what I'm going to go over is what covers I've used, why I don't use certain covers, and why a few years ago I changed to a different style cover that I think you should all be changing to. And the very important thing at the end of this video, I'm going to share some tips and precautions when using this new style Fender cover. So please join me as I explore the world of Fender covers. Over the years, there's been a ton of innovations in Fender covers. And yeah, there's been a lot of really good ones. Now, the most important thing that I look for is I want a soft backer on a cover, and I want something that isn't going to mar up the paint. The issue is a soft backer also can get metal filings and stuff into them. So when you go to use it, make sure it's clean. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of options. Back in the day, there used to be all sorts of different insides, but I've worn them out and thrown them out. Like, Fender covers are kind of a consumable for me. Quite a few years ago, it was like one of the coolest innovations with a Fender cover. They actually put magnets in them, and they used to be awesome. I remember changing engines in a truck, and you'd throw the thing on and it sticks exactly where you put it. Now, I don't have any of those anymore, and the reason I don't have those is because I do a lot of metal work. Any shop that is doing metal work, you have to be very careful how you store your Fender covers. And as well, if it's got magnets in it, just like any other thing with magnets, it picks up metal. So can you imagine this having magnets in it, sticking onto a vehicle, and when you go to pull it off, it scratches it? That brings up the other point. A lot of the bodies on vehicles nowadays are composite, so the magnets aren't going to work anyway. So there's something that you need to watch out for. So watch out for the soft backers, watch out for magnets, watch out for things that'll scratch the paint. But if you want to forget all of that and go with something that is way, way more innovative, like I love this for a really quick thing, leaning over a car, whatever. What I switched to is crash wrap. Crash wrap is so easy to install. There's a precaution that I'll show you after that we will need to make sure that you watch out for. Crash wrap is so easy to install. It's a lot easier with two people, but one person can do it as well. So very first thing before you put any Fender cover on, you gotta clean the car. Now this car has got a little bit of dust on it, and I'm just gonna take care of that. I use the old California car duster anytime that I'm gonna be dealing with something, especially something with nice paint on it. So give it a quick wipe down. How I do it maybe is a little sketch, but I don't care. I've done it this way since I started using it. I take a brand new razor blade, especially if you're by yourself, you want a new razor blade. And then I put it in my mouth. So make sure you put it in your mouth the right way. I'm not condoning putting a razor blade in your mouth. It could do some serious damage. I'm experienced. I'm not a nice swallower, but I talk funny like this, and it should be okay. So if you're by yourself, I get quite an end started, and I give a little flop. Stick it on the car. Now, this is a trick that I kind of learned a long time ago doing this. I don't go from the very edge. Be careful you don't get near the car. But I leave this little tail that I take off after. When it's on there, I will just lift it, and I'm not worried about how pretty it's on the car. I'm worried about how pretty the car is and protecting that car. Now, there's another little thing that I'd like to show you on the other side of where else you can use this. Here's one way I use crash wrap. So on this, I have a battery charger on the car, And I don't want that cord touching the paint. This is what I use for dyno cables and all sorts of stuff. The other thing is, if you have a charger on a vehicle out overnight, you can close the hood, and if the battery charger fits under the hood, you can still have the cord sticking out and leave it out overnight, and no one's going to come tug on your fender cover and take it home with them. Crash wrap, it's available in all sorts of different parts stores, whatever. And I believe the intent was if a vehicle was in a crash, you could cover an open wound, whatever, and have the weather not get in. I've never used it like that, but I have tested it on my own vehicle when I first got it. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be safe. Now, here's the one thing that you really need to be careful of. If you use crash wrap and you decide to go for a drive down the road, don't do it. What happens is the crash wrap ends up, if you have a loose tail, like this little tail, that'll flap in the wind and it actually will wear a dull spot into the paint. I tested it before I started using it on my own vehicle. I had to polish a spot. So a lot of people will use this crash wrap for their vehicles when they're going down the drag strip, and they cover behind the tire at the rear quarter panel to keep their paint from getting chipped up and so on. If you do it that way, you have to make sure that you have ironed out all of the wrinkles. Make sure, because if you are using this going for a short drive even, you're going to end up wrecking someone's nice paint. So the last and very important tip that you want to prepare your customers or yourself for is what this leaves behind. So crash wrap doesn't actually leave a sticky film or anything behind. It's very good. I've used it for years. I've used it on paint jobs that might have been substandard, anything. I've never had it peel any paint or anything like that. But it does leave enough that it will attract dust. So I had crash wrap on here last week. I was doing some work to the car, and you can see that there is kind of a pattern in the paint there. I hope you can see it on the camera. And how I deal with that is, first of all, I warn the customer that when it gets dusty, it's going to have a little pattern. After a couple car washes, that goes away. I'm just going to take my duster and I'm going to give it a quick dust. But the product that I find, there's a bunch of different products out there. The product I find that I like to use the most, and I use a brand new towel to do this, is the Mother's Instant Detailer. And you need very, very little amount. And it almost eliminates the chance of that coming back if you have the car for any length of time at all. Probably give this twice wipe down and you will have eliminated or reduced the chance of that happening. Still a good idea to let people know that that's what's been done. Now, what I really want to know is, has anyone else used different fender covers that might be better than this? Have you used different brands of crash wrap or brands of crash wrap that you would prefer? As well as for cleaning, I'm sure somebody's got experience out there using these products. What works better? I'd love to know. Please leave comments. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.